It's time to get down to business on TK Business Live, brought to you by the members of the Topeka Independent Business Association. Now, let's join Tara Dimmick, owner and publisher of TK Business Magazine, as we take a look into the business world of Topeka, Kansas.
Hi, welcome to TK Business Live. I'm Tara Dimmick, and it is great to be with you this Sunday. We've got a great show coming up. Erik Evans will be joining us shortly. He's with Envista Credit Union. And William Beteta will be in the studio with Schendel Lawn and Landscape. So we're going to talk with them about how to help your business. And a quick shout out to our sponsor. The Topeka Independent Business Association is what makes this show, TK Business Live, happen. And you can learn more about them at topekatiba.org. I've been a part of the organization for as long as I can remember. And they've been just a great group of advocates, a great group of business owners that have helped me grow my business and have been a great support group as well. So again, learn more about them at topekatiba.org. Go check them out or go to an upcoming meeting. They have lunch meetings each month that you can go to, learn, and also get a network with some really amazing people. I have Erik Evans with me. He is with Envista Credit Union. Welcome, Erik.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Now, you're in charge of all the business lending, right? That's kind of your focus is business lending, or is it across the board?
Yeah, I just handle the business services at Envista Credit Union. I mean, we do, of course, have consumer products. We've been around since 1957 as Kansas Medical Credit Union and Kansas Super Chief Credit Union. But yeah, we've been doing consumer financing for all that time. We're one of the leading lenders for consumer products and more personal mortgages. But we basically had about a decade ago where our personal members were kind of asking us, hey, do you do business lending? Do you do business accounts? And that kind of is how business services was born for us. And we basically expanded it to where we have a full suite of products now.
Yeah, and I use your services. So TK has been a member forever, I think, since we moved here.
We appreciate it.
So tell me a little bit about, as somebody's getting ready to borrow or get a loan or they're coming to you, what do they need to be thinking about and how do you move forward on that?
I think the basic thing is, you kind of have to start from, very simply, what do you want to do? What are you wanting a loan for? And after that, you basically have to have information. We need to know, kind of a business plan. What are you going to use the funds for? How are you going to make money? How are you going to set up the business? If you're an existing business and you're just looking to refinance, we'll need to have cash flow and tax returns, all that kind of good stuff. But really what we look for is a general idea about what you're looking to do.
Great. So then how do you go about, I think this one is a great, how do you go about reviewing that information? I always get curious about that, because you're like, well, I'm giving them all this information. What are they doing with it?
Well, that's, they have kind of a general thing in financing that we call the 5 C's, of credit. And what they are is you've got capacity, capital, collateral, conditions, and character. And really what it comes down to is, with capacity, we're looking to see, do you have the ability to pay the loan back, the monthly payment or whatever the terms are? Capital, how much of a down payment, how much skin in the game are you going to put into the loan? With collateral, what are you buying that we would use as collateral, or what other type of asset do you want to use as collateral for the loan? Conditions, that's kind of going back to why do you need the financing? What are you going to be using the money for? And then character, which sometimes can be the most important, is, how have you handled your finances? How have you prepared yourself to get this financing, and basically we use all 5 of those things to basically evaluate the loan request, how to set up the loan, and basically come up with options that the borrower is comfortable with.
So I'm just kind of curious, like when you're doing that process, do you notice that you have lenders or people coming back and forth to try to get that improved, where you're saying, well, no, it's not ready yet. We're not seeing this, or we're missing that. So then they go back and they work a little bit more, and then they come back to you. Do you have that experience with the people who are borrowing money?
Absolutely. Every financial institution is different. I think where we kind of separate ourselves, and really the emphasis that we put on our business services program, is we try and act as an advocate for the business. Of course, we want to do the loans, and we want to, help service local businesses. But really, we want to make sure that we're servicing them in a way that is going to be beneficial for them. So if we see something where we can't do the loan, we're going to say, well, if you do this, or if we could have it this way, we could possibly do the loan. And certainly, if there's other options that we think are better, we really try and sit down with the member, talk about, okay, I know you wanted to do the financing this way, but I really think this option will be better, and here's why. So again, it's kind of that whole personal relationship, being an advocate for the business to basically get them set up as well as they can. I mean, when you're operating in your business, you're looking to just do what you do. Well, what I do is I do the financing, so I try and get it as well set up as I can so that they'll be successful in the future.
It's nice to hear that, though, because it's like that as a business owner, like that's the last thing I ever want to have to do is actually to go get a loan oftentimes. It's kind of gosh, it's not what I wanted to have to do is to go get money. I wish we could be able to pull it in ourselves. And now how do I leverage this money? And it becomes this entire set of questions. And so it's nice that you could just start by coming in and sitting down and say, I have some questions.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's a lot of what my time is spent on is basically talking to businesses about it. Because, when you're getting a loan, that's a big deal. And, second to buying a mortgage or getting a mortgage, it's some of the biggest, financing you're going to do in your life. So my whole emphasis is always to make sure the business is comfortable. No matter what, whenever the loan is done, I want them comfortable because after the fact, we're going to have kind of a long-term relationship. And I need to make sure that, they know what's going to be happening. They can expect that whatever I've kind of worked with them on is going to be happening. And then that way, we just kind of keep talking about stuff as their business evolves.
Okay, so talk about some of the types of loans that you guys do.
Really, we do any type of loan. Some general, types of terms as far as what we do: commercial real estate, investment properties like rentals and things like that, equipment, business autos, renovations, lines of credit, all those general type of loans we do. But within those general loan types, we can structure them a ton of different ways. There's always options on the business side. That's actually what's kind of nice compared to a consumer side. There's kind of those set ways that you do things. But on the business side, it's all about, again, finding that comfortable balance between what you want to get the financing for, what you want to use as collateral, terms, rates, all that is kind of negotiable.
Awesome. Okay, so talk about, we talked a little bit about how you take care of the members and how you go through this loan process. But the people who have been at Envista, and I think about so many of the people at Envista have been there forever.
Yes, we have. That's one thing at Envista. We have a lot of loyalty from our members, but even people who've been there. I mean, our CEO Glenn Scott, he's been there for 40 years. Our senior vice president Ron Smeltzer's been there 28. Mike Bush and I, we've been at local financial institutions, have kind of come over to the credit union and been there for a number of years. I mean, between all of us, we have decades of experience on the retail side and as well as the commercial side.
So what is it about a credit union that brings that loyalty, that long-term relationship? I mean, I think about even Jessica Summers. She was in the she's been in the credit union industry her entire career, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So what is it about credit unions that's a little bit different?
I really think, again, this is coming over from the bank side where I was for about a decade. It's really the emphasis on the members. We are a not-for-profit financial institution, which basically means our members own the credit union. We're cooperative. So it really is a cooperative environment in the sense that we're always working to make sure the members get what they want, to make sure that they are happy with what they have. And because of that emphasis that it's not driven by profits, people are always happy with it. They feel like they have a personal relationship, and they do have a personal relationship.
So talk about some of the other products that are out there. We talked a lot about lending. What are some of the other products that Envista has? Yeah, I mean, on the business services, we've been doing this for almost a decade now. So we have basically the full lineup of things on the loan side as well as on the deposit side. I mean, we have interest-bearing checking accounts, business accounts, money markets, of course, debit cards and credit cards, all the ACH options and electronic processing that, just makes things easier than having to write checks. But even along with that, the ancillary type products of merchant processing where businesses can take debit cards and credit cards at their business. And then kind of the newer one we have is mobile banking, where you can take a picture of the check and deposit if you can't get to the bank. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah. And, what's kind of nice, too, is that, we kind of do an account analysis feature where, if a business, again, making sure they're comfortable, if I'm talking to somebody and they're looking to possibly switching, I'll do an account analysis. If they give me a couple months of statements wherever they're at, I'll compare it to what we have to offer, and based off of their transactions and volumes, I'll tell them this is what the difference will be. Either we're going to save them money or we're not. Most times we do, of course, but again, it's all about that honesty and trying to make sure the member gets what they want and know what to expect. So I'm curious about this analysis. So what have you found? Has there been anything surprising as you've done like an account analysis where you've been like, wow, that was a lot of money. We're able to save them? The biggest thing I think is that, a lot of people experience on the consumer side at credit unions that we have
higher interest rates on our deposit products. So the yield is a lot better on credit unions, again, because of that setup of being a not-for-profit. Well, the same applies on the business side. So the big thing we'll see is that since we pay interest on our checking account options, a couple of them, that's where people, especially if they have higher dollar balances, they can really make some extra interest on their business accounts, especially
right, because
with
they have those dollars just sitting there.
Exactly. If they have like a savings or money market, our interest tiers are a lot higher, and right now interest is so low. Any little bit extra helps. So it's that's where I find the biggest difference. But even from a monthly fee standpoint, ours are lower. Again, just the way we're set up, it's not about the profits, so we just kind of do things to cover our bases.
Awesome. Eric, thank you so much for joining me. This was great to talk with you. Anything else you wanted to share about Envista Credit Union?
Yeah, just if there's anything that anybody needs, if they'd like to do an account analysis or talk about business options, I'm available all the time.
Great. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you.
Eric Evans with Envista Credit Union.
My name is Ken Daniel, and the name of my company is Midway Wholesale.
What is TIBA? TIBA is advice and support. TIBA is information and education. TIBA is a voice for small businesses.
You're going to meet other small business people. You're going to have an opportunity to adopt some of the things that they found to be successful, and you're going to make some lifelong friends.
The Topeka Independent Business Association is strong because of its members. Become a member today by visiting topekatiba.org.
I have William Beteta joining me. Welcome, William.
Hey, thank you, Tara.
So William is in charge of business development for Schendel Lawn and Landscape, and a lot of people know you from all kinds of things that you've done because you've done a lot of really great work in our community. So,
thank you.
Tell me about this adventure with Schendel Lawn and Landscape. What are they doing, and then what are you doing?
Well, Schendel Lawn and Landscape is a full-service landscape company. We do full services of mowing all the way to plant care for residential and commercial properties. And we also do design work and installation work. For example, I'll tout that we were very lucky. I feel blessed that we were able to do this. We did the landscape install for the downtown Kansas Avenue project.
Oh, awesome. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it was fun. And, of course, for me, for those who know me, I was involved with Heartland Visioning that was instrumental in getting that started. And so be able to be a part of that, that little component was exciting.
Kind of a full circle moment.
It was a full circle moment. That's right.
You're having a lot of those lately.
Yes.
That's really cool. It really was important. And I just saw Schendel Lawn and Landscape out here at WIBW. So so lots of places that you guys are at.
Yeah. It's a strong company. We've grown over the last couple of years. My role is to work business to business, helping provide services to companies who have landscapes around their buildings. Like I said, the company built itself a lot around residential, which is pretty common for a landscape company to start from. But we're picking up different things and different ideas and growing in what we can do and provide.
So, William, tell me, and he already told me a little bit about this, but tell me a little bit more about how this is kind of full circle for you to be coming into this job. Most people will be like, oh, well, where did you go from Heartland Visioning and some of the other things you've done here? And it's kind of amazing how it's a nice full circle.
Yeah, it is a closing a circle for me. I went to school and got a degree in landscape architecture. And a lot of people don't realize that. And landscape architecture is kind of its own realm. It's more of the planning and design side. But I went to work for the National Park Service right out of school. And I didn't spend a lot of time going into the field itself, went into park management. And I spent 16 years with the federal government. And that's what actually brought me here to Topeka. That's why we're here. Got here to Topeka. We loved it here and decided it was time to leave the federal government. And that's when I got started with Heartland Visioning. And it was, using my leadership background and facilitation skills that I had developed that helped me in that role of Heartland Visioning. And then when I felt it was time to leave, it was one of those opportunities that just kind of here's a little advice for all those young people out there looking for jobs: stay active even when you're in a break, because that's what it was. I ran into Brent Bowles, who's one of the owners of Schendel Lawn and Landscape, and we were talking, and he was telling me where they were going, and I said, "Hey, Brent, I don't know if you know this," and it was a good fit.
I bet he was like, "Really?"
Yeah,
because that's kind of awesome.
It was right it was just the timing was right. They were looking for somebody. I was looking for my next thing to do.
So I'm really big on marketing, and I really think marketing is important. And I think that there's the internal marketing, there's the external marketing. But when I think of external, I'm thinking of like direct mail, being on TV, being on radio. But there's also this really important part of marketing that's about the curb appeal of your business. So talk a little bit about how that is such an important part of a business.
Well, it's first impressions. Look at it that way. The curb appeal of a business is the first thing that a customer will see. It's people will react to it. If it's messy, it gives an impression of what you might be thinking. How do you view your business, and so how does that translate to you? How you're going to serve your customer? If it's well kept, well maintained, it's that first impression that provides a little bit of liveliness to the customers and excitement. We feel, and it really does. We look at it as our motto is we want to make your life easier and your property more valuable. And since getting there, I've also adopted that we want to make your business more profitable. And the idea is we want to help you bring people in the door. You've got a lot of things to worry about in a business, employees, budgets, expenditures. And we want to be able to help a business out by taking care of that exterior, that landscape part of it, and work with them to create a program that's affordable for them and makes sense for their business so that they can keep their curb appeal looking top level and serve their customers for that way.
So you have gone from government to nonprofit to business. What have you learned through that process that you can disclose?
What haven't I learned? It's life is a learning process, and that's why I've always taken the approach. And going from the nonprofit realm of government, you're using taxpayer money. Your constituents are all, particularly in the federal government, we always took the view everybody in the United States is our customer. Now, from a business standpoint, that's hard to,
right.
to really.
You now look at that differently. But.
Yeah, it's really nice to be able to focus in on your customer. Your niche market.
Right.
But that idea of from a nonprofit like with Heartland Vision, where it was you're always selling, you're always in the role of a salesperson. In a nonprofit like Heartland Vision, though, you're asking for people to help you with an untangible. That's the most difficult part. Being with a for-profit company, it's nice to be able to have a service to provide and to have that exchange and conversation with a customer of helping them figure out what it is they want to achieve, and helping them come up with a solution to their problem of, in this case, with their landscape, and how do they keep it up? How do they maintain it while they're still trying to run the rest of their business, but not have to get out on a mower every once a week?
Right, it's a big job to maintain any landscape.
Well, absolutely. And here's part of the reason. For people to keep in mind is that landscapes they're a living organism, and anything that is living is growing or it's dying. But our landscapes that we take care of, we're working to keep them growing. They're always growing, and it's it's for a business owner, it's redirecting time and resources to take care of that growing organism, and that's tough. And that's what we want to be able to provide, that service to help them not have to worry about the landscape. We want to be able to provide services that when we roll off the property, it's turnkey. They didn't have to worry about it. We took care of it. We continue to communicate with the customer and make sure that everything is being kept up the way that their expectations are being met, and hopefully their business is benefiting from it.
So if somebody wants to learn more and wants to talk with you, or whether it's their commercial or residential, what do they need to do?
Contact us. I'm always happy to sit down and talk with someone, because landscape can be a little bit elusive as to what do I need to do.
Where do I start? Where do I end?
Well, it's for the customer to start. It's trying to develop an understanding of what do you want to achieve. And it's like with anything else. What are you trying to achieve here? If you can start to at least have an understanding of what that is, you don't have to get into specific plants or even size or texture of plants. But what are you trying to achieve? Is it, do you want to draw people in? Are you trying to create a public space for people to gather and communicate? Are you trying to create a break area for your employees? It's that kind of thing. How do you want to use it? And then talking with a landscape professional to start coming up with ideas. What we do is, we start getting into the details. We can provide you with that information of what plant will work best for you. Because there's a lot of the scientific part of it is when you start getting to the type of plant for this particular area might be one appearance, but the other part of it, again, remember, it's a living organism. Will it survive there? That kind of thing. So, really for a customer, start out, what are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to do? And then talk with a landscape professional who can then help you start getting into those details.
That's great. Okay, so I got to go back to downtown. So again, I didn't realize you guys were doing all the landscaping and all those pieces of the downtown and the pocket parks that are all going in there. And as a full circle moment, I just want to give you a chance because, one of the hardest parts about the whole downtown project was being the visionary people who said this is going to work, right? And you were rallying people together and probably having a few really tough days, more than one, right? Of trying to keep a vision that not everybody held. So first of all, I guess I'm wanting to thank you because I know those were hard days, and I know that that's a tough process. But as you look back on that, what's your takeaway from that whole experience?
Well, one, it was, like I said, I feel really lucky that we were able to be a part of it, just because I was involved with it at the beginning. And takeaways, one is that, these things are achievable. And with the Heartland Vision, when it got started, part of the process was helping the community get to a point where they felt like, we can do this. These are things that we dream of. These are things that we'd like to have, and we can do this. And the downtown was a difficult one because attempts had been made before, and it never really got to where people felt like it was what they wanted. It was the impression I got, because these attempts were made pre my existing here in Topeka. And the real appreciation of one, getting the community involved, like you said. There were, going back to even the planning of the vision idea, was we heard people say downtown. We want to see downtown revitalized. And then, of course, when finally the idea took hold, we had to meet with people again. And it was always about trying to get the community involved in it and doing what the community wanted to have happen. And those are time consuming. So the biggest challenge was a perception of time. How long does it take to do this? And the frustration, probably the biggest frustration, was when we would hear from people and they say, well, it's been 6 months. How come nothing's happened? And
that adaptive challenge, it's not like there's just this technical fix that you flip a switch.
Right. And the broad picture of it, now that the work itself, the infrastructure work is done, is to realize this took over 6 years. So the biggest takeaway was just the learning and appreciation of the time it takes to do these kind of things, particularly when, hey, if you're in charge of it, you've got the resources to do it, it belongs to you, you can do it as fast as you want. But when you have to do it with a community involvement, you have to appreciate that time. And just like you said, it's an adaptive challenge that's constantly changing on you, and there's not one fix.
Yeah, and the minute you think you have everybody involved, you don't. You find that out really fast.
Or just something happens where another priority pops up and it takes attention away.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's been good work, and it's exciting to see it start to come to fruition, and it still has a long ways to go because there's still the whole cultural transition of people being down there and paying with their dollars. I was down there just a little bit ago going to an event, and one of my things that I think is important is for businesses to be open. So I vote with my dollars. And when I am down there during an off day, during a Saturday or a Sunday when there's an event going on and those businesses are open, you better believe I'm in every single one of them buying something that's kind of like, okay, well, I guess I'm Christmas shopping now, or whatever I need to do, a birthday gift, I'm buying it then so that I can pay and vote with my dollars. That I agree, stay open. This is important.
Absolutely. And that's what it takes, because it's really wrapped up in a chicken and egg philosophy.
Yeah. Right. Which is first.
Which is first. People need to be there so businesses know that it's viable. People want to be there because there's a business or something, entertainment being provided that they want to attend. Well, what comes first? Mm-hmm. Indeed, the whole idea is that downtown or any project like this it involves a lot of people. And Downtown Topeka Incorporated, Vince Fry, Edie Smith, and the rest of the staff down there, they're doing a great job of building up that entertainment component of it. And they're a great resource and in a great position right now, and they've been doing a lot. So, they're picking up where the infrastructure development left off. And, we're hearing it's a little frustrating. And we keep hearing that there are businesses looking at the area. And of course, we'd love to see them there. But again, it's an appreciation of time. These things don't just happen in a couple of months.
Right. We're going to announce. And it's tough to wait, but it's got to be coming. It's coming. And it feels good. So,
yeah.
Well, William, one more time, what should somebody do if they want to get more information about Schendel Lawn and Landscape?
Well, they can go to our website, which is mycreativelawn.com. They can go in there. They can take a look at some of the work that we've done. Look up the services we provide, and also they can even through our website send us a message if they're interested in us contacting them about services or inquiring about information. Or they can call us. Our number is 785-286-0015.
Awesome. William, it was great to see you.
Yeah, you too, Tara.
That was William Beteta with Schendel Lawn and Landscape. So before I let you go, I thought I would share a little bit of my publisher's page from the recent issue of TK Business Magazine. And, I get a lot of advice just like anyone else from friends and family. And it seems like the advice that's been very concise and to the point has been very powerful to me. So 3 of those pieces of advice happen to be in 2 words. So it's do more, be sexy, and be bold. So Pat Gideon told me do more. He told me that at the very beginning of starting TK and really my business as well. When I took over TK, he really just advised me to do more than my competitor and to do more than what the customer is expecting. And by doing more than maybe even I expected to do, that I would find success. And it's been such a simple statement, but has been very powerful in my life. And then the second one was be sexy. And I got that one from Eugene Williams. And he said that at the Hall of Fame, when he was receiving his Hall of Fame laureate, his award, his speech included be sexy. And it's such a simple, it's simple and I think it may be confusing for some people, but it's that attraction, right? It's making yourself, your business sexy in a way that people want to be around you. People want to come to your business. People are amazed at how you did it so much better or in a way that was attractive and sexy. And they want to be a part of it. And then be bold. And this one was a fun one and very recent, actually. Matt Pavarnik, who's the new chamber CEO, was in a meeting. He showed up. We were talking about economic development for the community. And he wore a suit that was it was kind of cool, I'll be honest. I really thought it was cool. But it did look a little bit like maybe upholstery for your couch or maybe a curtain. One of those two, I think, was the material that it came from. But it was very, very cool. And he wore it with pride and he wore it well. And part of that was because he was willing to be bold. And he made that statement that it's time for Topeka to be bold and to stop being okay with status quo. And that it was time for us to think about ourselves as something that we could be, that we want to be, and that we're not willing to limit ourselves anymore. And so I hope I can leave that with you to consider, to do more, to be sexy and to be bold, and to think maybe a little bit differently this week as you're moving forward with your business or in your life or